Good day, everyone. I am Tina Tasaka with the Lotus Broadcast, and this is the Blast Up Podcast. And I am here with Carla Byland, and she is the founder of Soaring Bird Solutions. And we are going to be talking about HR solutions and really people today and the HR around Indian country and tribal nations. Good afternoon, Carla.
Hi, good afternoon.
I am so glad that we are able to finally jump on together. Carla's the founder. You are the founder of your own company. And we met at a tribal leadership conference last year. It was in Las Vegas. And I think was it October? What was the month that we met at?
It's October.
Yeah, it was October of 2025. And so you are going to be having another tribal leadership conference in Las Vegas in October of 2026. Tell us a little bit about that leadership conference that's going to be coming up.
Well, it'll be our fourth annual leadership conference. We're going to be holding it at South Point Casino and Hotel here in Las Vegas, and it'll be held during the Indian National Finals Rodeo. So there'll be a lot of extra things to do when people come out. We started this conference 4 years ago because my partner and I, my partner in the conference, we felt like there just needed to be some real quality leadership for tribal nations and tribal enterprises. And we weren't seeing that so much, in places we were going. So we started it because we saw a need, and it's something that has been really great. It has every year, it has, increased in attendance, and we're very excited about it. This year, what are the dates? The dates are October. No, that's not right. Well, maybe it is October 14th and 15th. So there's a website. It's called tlmconference.com, and you can go there to get all the information about it.
Great. And we'll put that up on this video for the viewers to see that as well, so they can go out and take a look themselves. The South Point Casino is so amazing. And just, for the have 12. It's actually one of the most, it is one of the most recognized arenas connected to a resort as one of the best arenas for equestrian activities and shows and so forth. So hats off to getting the South Point Casino in Las Vegas. Yeah. That's a great place. And for those wine drinkers out there, I got to tell you, you can get a glass of Kendall Jackson for $9. I mean, you go to the Strip, it's $23. You go to South Point, it's $9. I just gave South Point a really good plug, right?
You did.
But anyway, you started Soaring Bird Solutions in 2015. What inspired you to launch Soaring Bird, and what was the need that you saw in leadership and HR support?
And I would like to start by explaining how the name came to be and what inspired me to be who I am. I am Citizen Potawatomi, and my auntie gave me a name when I was a young woman, and the name is Pineshe Pamashi, which stands for Bird Who Soars. And so I kind of felt like I was called to do great things when she gave me that name. So when I launched my company, I honored that heritage, named it Soaring Bird Solutions. So I've spent almost my entire career working in Indian country, and I feel like the work has really shaped me in ways that I am deeply grateful for. Over the years, I saw firsthand that HR wasn't always viewed as a strategic partner. Not only in Indian country or anywhere. I mean, HR has really fought to have a seat at the table. But watching passionate, talented employees and dedicated leaders struggle without all the tools they needed and the structure or the guidance, that really kind of stuck with me. And so, realizing that there was a real gap in HR skill sets and systems, I felt called to do something about it. And that's what pushed me to step forward. I stepped away from an executive level position with job security and started the business in 2015. And it was, on faith and a prayer. And it's very personal for me because, the people and the communities and the work, it really matters to me.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, there are vast cultural differences in tribal nations versus corporate America.
Yep.
I mean, vast differences. I too have worked in tribal gaming for a long time, and there are just huge differences. Is there maybe one or two things that you can point out with your Potawatomi heritage that plays into your role when you're working with tribal nations, just cultural differences that you can maybe point out to our viewers, what some differences are working with tribal nations?
Yeah, so Potawatomi, some of the cultural values of Potawatomi hold is, Potawatomi they're considered to be the keepers of the fire, and so that just oh gosh, it doesn't. To me, it says, keepers of the fire. What does that mean? That means we keep everybody connected, and so that value kind of pushes forward with me that we keep everything connected. We build relationships that connect each other and hold everybody up to be successful. There's also there's a teaching called the Seven Grandfather Teachings that I actually, I teach. And oh gosh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So the Seven Grandfather Teachings kind of drive how we live our daily life. And it's built on like wisdom and courage and compassion and respect. And all of those things drive who I am and how I make decisions. They're daily practices, and they're kind of a blueprint of how leaders should treat people and make decisions on a daily basis. So I try to reflect on those things in my leadership and try to show up and lead with honesty and clarity.
I wish we could carry those over more into some corporate America and into small business too, because those values sometimes just they get lost, they get evaporated, they get overlooked. Are those values specific to Potawatomi, or do you see those in most tribal nations?
Seven Grandfather Teachings carries across the Potawatomi, Ojibwe, and Ottawa. They used to be one tribe at one time, and that's a significant portion of Native Americans. But I think those values go across all tribal nations. One of the things that I've really noticed and recognized and respect is that it's about building relationships in Indian country. It's not about forcing everybody into a box that they don't fit in. It's about building relationships. And, if you're not building relationships, you're not leading, you're just managing. And that's the difference, I think. And I think that's what a lot of people who try to come in from outside into Indian country and try to bring those corporate values in, they struggle because they're so used to the structure that they can't go outside that structure and look at its relationship building. So I do see that translates across almost every Indian nation or Alaskan village that I've ever worked with.
Yes. And I know this is just a little bit off topic that we didn't talk about in advance, but I've also noticed that in tribal nations, they build it with generations. And what I mean by that is I've gone to enough tribal nations conferences now that they put the generations together. They take the baby boomers and they put them with Gen X. They take the baby boomers and they put them with the elders. They take the Gen X and they put them with a baby boomer and so forth. And we lean in together. I had never seen that done at a conference before, and I was astounded. They've never done that before. I mean, they kind of just, in other conferences, it's kind of like, okay, you're at a networking event, go network with people. And it's sort of like you're on your own, right? Well, now here's a format whereby, a Gen X is getting to meet with an elder, and that elder is passing on this wisdom. And I was like, damn, this is amazing. I mean, really, seriously, like this is not done in other cultures. This needs to be done. And I'm sure you see it all the time, but we can't take that for granted. And I think that it should be done more. I think that it should be done more. Because I'm learning a lot from I have a 29-year-old son. So these 20-year-olds, they have a lot to teach us.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think you've recognized something that is a value that I think all tribal nations have, their origin stories, their creation stories. They've got a lot of traditions, and most of them, elders is a position of high regard, and everybody from the babies to the middle life, they're all taught that you respect elders, and elders have a lot of wisdom to pass on. And they make decisions based on 7 generations. They look forward 7 generations, like how do the things I'm doing today impact 7 generations from now. And so that is one of the things that I look at when I'm working with tribes is, what are we doing today? The decisions we're making, how's that going to impact, our future employees, our future generations? And so I think you picked up on that, and it is true. We as a society tend to discount the millennials and the alpha, and we think that their values are out of whack, but we can learn so much from each other.
For sure. Well, we certainly hand them our phones. We get a brand new cell phone, and it's like, here, kid, set my phone up for me. Yeah, no, it's just an excellent protocol, or whatever. Yeah, I don't mean to say, whatever, but it is an interesting and excellent protocol to follow. And I've never forgotten that session that I was in. It was at the Morongo Casino, and I think my jaw dropped. I will never forget that meeting ever. And it was a room full of women, and they split us all up, and it was just dynamite. It was, yeah, yeah. All right. So, of course, you work with tribal nations, and you are working a lot with governments. You're working with tribal and city governments, economic governments, 501c3s, 501c6s. And what primarily drew you toward those avenues? And, what are you doing specifically with those tribal governments? And what drew you toward them?
It started out small. I
think we have a little bit of a freeze right now. She'll come right back.
No. I'm here. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we just had a little bit of a freeze right there.
I noticed that. So what drew me, it started out small. So I'm an expert in compensation. I started out doing compensation studies for a couple of tribes, and then they would tell people about me, and then they would call me and say, "Hey, we've got this. Can you do this?" And so it really grew organically. And I started with tribal governments, expanded out to tribal nonprofits, Alaskan villages, and I just, as it grows, I just expand to meet the need. And so I do all HR. I mean, for some smaller tribal governments, we are their HR department. For, some of the larger ones, we support their HR department. We do a lot of leadership training, a lot of development, and just, any project they need to try to, help those competencies that they're missing.
Oh, that is so fascinating. So, okay, so you outsource your HR services, and you also are you can be the HR department for a lot of these tribes. That's fascinating. Can you just give, a high level rundown, kind of all of your services, just at a real high level, what your firm offers? I know it's big.
Okay, so we offer the outsourcing, which is actually there's a term for it now called fractional HR, where
Mhm.
where we provide with the gaps basically in HR. So we outsource. We update handbooks. We do compensation and classification studies, organizational analysis. Do a lot of strategic planning, succession planning. A lot of training. Our training is customized. It's not off the shelf. It is. I write every single training session that we do. It is. I'll meet with the client and say, where are your challenges? Once we identify those, we gear the training towards the challenges. So, what else do we do? What else do we do, Tina? I think that's kind of encompasses
Oh my
it. But
gosh, you give leadership training. You
yep.
are all about people first. Oh my gosh, you guys do so much. You have a great website. Absolutely.
Thank
Yes,
you.
very comprehensive for sure. Yes. Um, it's interesting. You were just mentioning the Alaska tribes, and just for the viewers out there, I think people are always blown away when we talk about the fact that there's 574 federally recognized tribes, and that most of them are in Alaska. There's like 400 of them in Alaska.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you are working with a lot of those in Alaska. So is that the bulk of where you are doing the outsourcing for the HR? Okay. Okay.
Well, I've got clients in Washington State, in Arizona, Michigan, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. I actually, haven't gotten east of Michigan. So we'll just say anything west of Michigan. I pretty much worked with them.
Are you working with any indigenous outside of the US?
No,
Okay.
no,
All right.
no.
Great. So as you lead by example, how would you describe your leadership style?
Well, that's a really tough question. And it's one that I actually ask other people, what's your leadership style? And they, when they can't come up with an answer, I'm like, well, if you don't know, but you ask me that, and I'm like, well, I think it's based on the value that I like about building relationships, right? I'm not a dictator. I want to I want you to follow me because you believe in what I'm doing, not because I tell you to follow me. And so leading by example, I'm humble, I'm not afraid to get down in the trenches and do the work, that needs to be done. And I'm not above um, doing anything. It's just it's humility, um, bringing that relationship. Um, and one of the things that I teach is that you can be a manager. That's a title, right? And you can tell people what to do, and they'll do it because they have to. But they're not doing it because they believe in you, or they believe in the organization, or they believe in the mission. They're just doing it, and so they're not engaged, and they could easily turn around and sabotage you the first opportunity that comes up. But when you're a leader, people people follow you because they believe in your mission, and they will help support you and help you be successful. So nobody's successful by themselves. Everybody has somebody that has supported them, or a team that's behind them, or somebody that's mentored them. So you can't be successful by yourself. Being a leader means, you know, sometimes pushing from behind and sometimes leading from the front.
It's absolutely true when somebody says it takes a village or it takes a tribe to be
Yep.
successful. It's absolutely true. Can you share a success story that really captures the impact of your work or your firm's work?
So what drives me, my purpose is to leave a place better than I found it. I want to make a difference, and making a difference, that motivates me. It thrills my heart when somebody says, you made a difference in my life, or in collectively our lives. And so I don't have one success story. I have several people I've mentored over the years that have come back and told me, yeah, I wouldn't be where I am without you. And that I'm it humbles me because I think, why? It's a little small part of your life. So that means something. I'm currently mentoring somebody. I've been mentoring her for 4 years, and just watching her growth has been it's just wonderful to watch. I'm so very proud of her. It's almost like I've adopted her as a child because I just see this growth and I'm so excited. But I will tell you that one thing that really has stuck with me, and it's the simplest thing. I did supervisory training at a very remote tribe. And, it was a tough training because the attendees were very quiet. It's hard to get them engaged. I just wasn't sure how it landed. And afterwards, one of the attendees, he must have been like a 25-year-old young man, and he came up and he said, "Can I hug you?" And okay, that's a weird request, but okay. So I hugged him, and then he goes, he had tears in his eyes. He said, "Nobody's ever taught me this. Nobody's ever taught me how to be a supervisor, how to be a leader." He said, "This is the first time we've ever heard anything like this." And that landed hard for me. That, to me, what I take for granted of having these skills and knowing how to do these things, to have somebody say, "I never knew how to do any of this," it was real humbling. So that's the kind of thing. Those are the moments that stick with me.
I feel it. I can feel that for sure. No, I get it. They're remote. They sometimes don't have any resources whatsoever. They're coming from some broken homes at times,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't need to elaborate on that. And yeah, yes, I felt that really, truly. That's a great story. Well, conversely, what is a lesson that you have obtained from a tough project that shaped you today?
Uh, I, you know, I I work with so many different leaders, and like, some are great and some are a little bit of a struggle. Other some of my clients are a little bit challenging, and some are super functional. And so, again, just like I don't have one success story or one single moment that stands out that I've learned, but I learn from every project. I've made mistakes, and I've learned from those mistakes. Um, I've I sometimes, I walk away from a project shaking my head because I don't feel like it was me that made the mistake, but I have a hard time, getting my point across. But that's the whole thing. It's about, because I'm working with people, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be challenges. And so I think for me, regardless of how tough the project is, it's always about the people, and the leaders may be challenging. There's an entire group of people that are counting on me to manage that relationship with those leaders that sometimes can be challenging. So
Yes, absolutely. Um, let's talk to the viewers about the essence of trust and the role that trust plays in building long-term partnerships with tribal nations, and what kind of advice that you can extend to anybody that's working with tribal nations, how important that trust factor is.
it's everything in a long-term partnership. It would turns a contract into a relationship. It turns a relationship into a shared purpose. When trust is present, people will be honest and they tell the truth. They're not afraid to name what the real challenges are. If they don't trust you, you're going to get superficial answers, and you're not going to be able to dig in and really help. When people trust you, they invite you into the conversations that actually matter. And it's also how you collaborate. It makes collaboration possible. So instead of just delivering solutions, you become a co-creator, and the co-creator of the solutions, and then you share the decisions and the accountability. And even if you have hard feedback, it lands better if there's trust. If there's not trust, that criticism lands hard. But trust is everything. You and trust. The only way that you can maintain trust is to be honest and transparent. And like I said earlier, I've made mistakes. Well, I own those mistakes, and I'm the one that comes with, hey, I made a mistake. Well, I'm going to fix it though. So you can't try to gloss over things. If you make a mistake, be honest. If you promise to deliver something, deliver it. If you aren't able to make that delivery, then let them know ahead of time. I'm not going to be able to make it. So trust is, I don't think I can emphasize enough how important trust is in a relationship when you're working with tribal nations.
I'm so in agreement with you. And last night we were discussing at a networking event the art of showing up and showing your face, and that has been lost over the last 20 years. That, oh, I'll just do a demo. I'll just do a demo. I'll just do a remote demo. Oh, we'll just do it on Zoom or actually Skype. And we were even going back that long ago. We'll just do a Skype meeting. And that, that the art of, meeting that face to face anymore has become lost, and that you have to have that FaceTime with people. And I think in tribal nations and indigenous, we were talking about Hawaii specifically. That doesn't matter, but well, it does matter. It actually does matter with the Hawaii people, and they want to see your face 7 times. They want to see you. They want to know that you're going to come back over, that if you sell them a product or a service, that you're going to be back, that you're not going to just sell and run.
Right.
And that's a big statement, that you need to be there for them, just like in your services, that you're going to be there for them, that it's very, very important. So what does innovation mean to you in HR leadership space, and how has that changed, and getting, new innovation into tribal country?
Innovation means staying on top of the best practices, the most recent technology, looking for solutions that fit the needs. Tribes are not a one size fit all. I've said that a couple of times. They're each uniquely organized, and they've got their own unique challenges. And so sometimes innovation means looking for out of the box solutions when there doesn't seem to be any. And, I'll give you an example. HRIS systems. You talked about Skype and it made me laugh because I used to use Skype, and I remember Skype, and now we have Zoom, we have Teams, and we have Google, and the COVID drove a lot of those changes of working in remote spaces. And so a lot of tribes had to kind of step up a little bit because they were very reluctant prior to being on video conference. Everything, because the relationship, everything needed to be in person. So there has to be some adaptation. But HRIS systems is something that I find when a lot of my smaller clients who never had an HR, their files are still in boxes or in a file cabinet, and they're still doing everything on an Excel spreadsheet and tracking things, and getting them to understand the value of putting in a system where they can have their files electronically, where their processes are automated, where they can do their recruiting and onboarding online. That has been both a challenge and it has been a pleasure, because the ones that have adopted it and put it in place and are now quite successful and way more efficient than they used to be, they're very excited. But there's others that go, well, if we have a system like that, why do we need you? Like, hopefully you don't need me once we get you up and running. But that is one of the, just trying to bring them into some of the spaces that they're not traditionally used to being in.
Yeah, for sure. It really did change. It changed a lot. Yeah, absolutely. And all the systems that they have had to adopt, and now they have to be on the lookout for cybersecurity. I mean, that's got to be the biggest thing on top on the list, is cybersecurity attacks from the corporate casinos to tribal enterprises. Everybody's got to be top of mind on cyber attacks. AI is a new challenge, and trying to wrap your arms around how much
do you allow AI into your space, and how do you manage it and control it? That's
Yes, absolutely. The good news, though, I think, as I peruse all of the different tribal conferences that are coming about, nearly every one of them has an AI, breakout session.
yeah.
Whether it's AI for gaming, AI for cannabis and hemp, AI for HR, AI for housing, AI for healthcare. There's always AI out there. So the
Mhm.
education's getting out there, which is great.
Yeah. No, and that's one of the things going back to the conference that we have. That's one of the things that we want to bring forward to the conference is bring real relevant and impactful sessions that meet the real time needs. And AI and cybersecurity are two of the sessions that we will have at our conference.
Excellent. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Oh yeah, you've got is it one of the IT providers that was there last time?
Yeah, well, he'll probably do cybersecurity, and then I think I've got somebody else who's going to do AI. But yeah, we definitely partner with people who can bring the information, because I couldn't teach AI.
No, no, it's one of those things. I might be able to navigate someone through a little chat GPT, but that's about it. Um, well, Miss Carla, before we wrap this up, give me your crystal ball. What's going on for the next 12 months? What is on the big agenda for Soaring Bird? You must have some big conferences in tribal nations. And what's exciting for you guys?
I a crystal ball. That's funny. I think that I'll be speaking at Res for sure in March, the Residential
Great.
Economic Summit. And
Yes.
Nahara has a women's summit that they're doing in May that I'll be speaking at. And I'll probably be at Nahara, their annual conference in September. So those are the conferences. Those are the ones that I support. I support Nahara, which is National Native American Human Resource Association. And I support the National Center for American Indian Enterprise Development. So those are the two. I believe in their mission. And so I like to be part of them. I think this year is going to bring I think it's going to bring a lot of, gosh, I don't know how to say this, because we've gone through the COVID, and we've recovered from that, and the year after COVID, we did a lot of projects on compensation, and then minimum wage impacts kind of drove. But this year, I think we're going to be looking at a lot more tailoring the policies and creating some new and innovative solutions in the technology HRIS field. So
I can see
that's
that.
kind of what I feel like. And I also feel like we're going to be doing a lot of training, because I've already had many requests. So, which is okay,
Excellent.
because I love it. So,
Yes, I love that too. I love it. I love to see a company like yours thriving in tribal nations. I love to see a bespoke company, doing work, with Indian country specifically, and really getting into the heartbeat of tribal nations,
mm,
because if you work with one tribe and you do a great job, that tribe is going to speak well with another tribe and another tribe and another tribe and another tribe. And you know that you're going to forge those relationships, and then they start talking to each other, and they can forge little SOPs together as well and share information. And that's exactly how it's supposed to work, you know? So I love what you're doing. I absolutely love what you're doing, and I'm so glad that we could talk today. So before we depart, what's the best way for people to reach you and reach out to your company if they want to seek more information and get details on working with you?
it's probably the best way to go to my website, which is www.soaringbirdSolutions.com. That's probably the best way. We've got contact information on there. You can also, my email is, this is going to be tough, hey.bylund at soaringbirdSolutions.com.
And we will absolutely put that up here on the podcast as well, too, Carla, so the viewers can get that information real easily and accessible too. But we love for the founder to also share the information. Are you guys on Instagram as well? Instagram or any of the other social media platforms?
Our conference is on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And so, yeah, and you can also find me on LinkedIn personally. So
great, excellent.
Just look me up by my name.
Great. Well, I would love to thank Carla for being on our show today. And please go and check out Soaring Bird Solutions and everything that they're doing with tribal country, with HR, and more than just HR consulting, and all of the solutions that they bring forward to Indian country and government agencies within Indian country. And you work outside of Indian country too, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. And everything that they're doing, working with tribal nations. Carla, thank you so much. I wish you the best and wish you a great weekend. And look forward to seeing you at Res in Las Vegas at Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
All right.
Conference. Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm Tina Tasaka, and this is the Lotus Broadcast and Blast Up Podcast. Thank you so much.